Hello, my name is Dr. Robert McBride, and I'm the Superintendent of Lockport Township High School District 205, and this is your board meeting brief for our Board of Education meeting on Monday, August 17th, 2020. Before I dive into what we discussed here in the Porter Room on Monday night, I always like to draw our public's attention to our agenda. Every month when we have a board meeting, we post the agenda online so that you at home can participate. We've even expanded your ability to participate by live streaming our board meetings every time that we have them. So not only would I encourage you to get on our website, check out the agenda about what we're talking about on Monday nights once a month, but also log in, get on the website and the live stream and you can participate. This past Monday night, we had 85 people who were viewing the entire board meeting. In terms of our August 17th board meeting, we started with something that was not COVID related at all. And I have to tell you, I was glad that we could do that. Last spring, despite school being let out on March 13th and our school closure all spring, we had 198 Lockport Porters who took advanced placement tests through the College Board and were named AP Scholars because of their performance on those college level tests. Our Board of Education started their meeting on Monday night by acknowledging those students and thanking them for their strong academic performance. We then moved into a legislative report that I typically do, and really the most important thing that I could brief the board on this month was a change that we received on Wednesday, August 12th, right before we were going to open school, from the Illinois Department of Public Health. We received new guidance from the IDPH on how to handle COVID-19-like symptoms that we might see in our staff members or students as they return to campus. As many of you know, that new guidance made us go into remote learning starting Thursday, August 20th, so that we could sort out how to handle those guidelines. In essence, what those guidelines require us to do is to treat any student or staff member who have any of the COVID-like symptoms as if they have COVID. For example, if a student goes to our nurse's office with a fever, we would have to have that student stay home for 10 days or return when they have a negative COVID-19 test. Similarly, with our staff, if our staff had a headache, a runny nose, a fever, a stomach ache, we would have to have those staff members stay home for 10 days or return when they have a negative COVID-19 test. As we looked at the volume of students who regularly come to our school nurse's office once school gets underway, the number of staff members who have to call in sick because of their own symptoms, we just realized that we had to rethink how we're reopening and follow those guidelines because they are required by the state of Illinois. Another important highlight was my superintendent report. And my superintendent report came before we approved our final return to school transition plan. What we've been trying to do all summer, and I highlighted for the board, is all of the practice that we have had, having large groups of people back on campus. Is it perfect? Of course not. We've learned so much about how to manage symptoms and manage precautions, but we have practice, and that's given us a great deal of confidence. Over the summer, we had 780 athletes participate in sports camps successfully. We held a week of welcome back days and freshman orientation where 3,300 individuals came through Central, came through East Campus successfully. We had a week where staff returned to campus, a very successful return of our new teachers, 18 new porters to our institution. And we had our entire staff return for 2 days on August 13th and 14th for an Institute Day. All of those were without health incident. All of those were with the precautions that we follow, wearing a mask, keeping our physical distance, keeping those hands fully sanitized. Perhaps the biggest test for our school that I reported to the board was on Monday, August 17th and Tuesday, August 18th, when we actually returned to school. So far, the reports from our staff, from our students, so many of our parents is that in-person learning was successful. I think what we learned in those 2 days is that we can still live, learn, and work in person and do our very best to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Probably the most time that we spent during the board meeting was on our return to school transition plan. This plan was proposed to our Board of Education on July 20th, 2020. It was reviewed, refined, and then finally approved on Monday, August 17th at this recent board meeting. This plan is available online. I always ask our parents to go to our Return to School page on our website because it's filled with all the information that you need to understand how we're operating as a school district in this very, very difficult and very flexible and fluid time. Some of the key highlights of that Return to School transition plan are the tools that the board has approved for our teachers and administrators to use in order to still provide schooling for your children. Some of those tools include our hybrid plan. We are still committed to in-person learning for all of our students. And I want to come back in a moment about the importance of in-person learning, but we have to do it safely. Because we have to do it safely, we are always keeping our remote learning plan as an option. And as many of you know, we'll have to use that on Thursday, August 20th as we go into remote learning. The board approved using these two, remote learning and in-person learning, to pair with each other and support the continued education of our students. We also approved a fully online option for many of our families who right now are just not comfortable this semester coming back into school. Our board endorsed the changes in the IHSA and endorsed an athletic program. 4 seasons this year, very different than anything I've experienced in the past 32 years. And a full activities program for our students. Our Board of Education understands how important it is for students to stay connected to school. Also, our board endorsed all of the health protocols that have been pronounced by the CDC, the IDPH, the ISBE, and Will County Public Health. At the top of our list is safety. We cannot have school open if we cannot keep people safe. The first few days of school, we felt went very well. The buses ran, the students came, teachers, students, staff had masks. Sure, there are things we need to work on. We need to do a better job keeping those masks all the way up. We need to do a better job with physical distancing as well. But I think what we learned in the past 2 days was confidence that it actually can be done. As I wrap up and close the Return to School transition plan, I just want to make an important note about in-person learning. There is no substitute of a teacher and a student. It's been the rock bed of education for thousands of years, human contact. We can support it with other ways of learning, but it's at the core of how human beings socialize and learn from each other. The biggest concern I have is certainly the health of our students, but I'm also concerned about what we learned last spring about the mental health of our students. We're all aware that anxiety went up, isolation went up, fear went up among our youth. And that's something we take very seriously, and we believe that in-person learning can help keep our students socially fit as well as academically fit. The final portion of our meeting, an important portion for families, was that we approved a revised 2020-2021 school calendar. If you look online, it's already posted. Here are the changes. On Wednesday, August 19th, we took a full day of remote learning planning for our teachers, no student attendance. We're going to do another one of those days on Tuesday, September 8th. A planning day for teachers so that they can regroup, reset. These are non-attendance, non-online days for your students. We also had to add Tuesday, November 3rd, Election Day. The state of Illinois has declared that a state holiday. That will be a non-attendance day both for staff and for students. Finally, a very important change that we made is we moved the date when winter break begins. Winter break will now begin on Friday, December 18th. Students will return either online or, we hope, in person on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. That makes our final day of school at the end of the school year, Wednesday, May 26th, 2021, thinking way ahead. Thanks so much for tuning in to this board meeting brief. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your engagement with our Board of Education and all the decisions that they have to make. Thank you.